A learning organization, by definition, is responsive to its environment. It evaluates its internal and external performance. It's data. I don't like to say data-driven anymore because I think data doesn't drive someone. Data-guided, if you will, aided, assisted, data-assisted. But you should be knowing how well you're doing and are you making a difference and what are some of the issues with implementation that we've encountered. Get some grad students to hang out and just keep an eye on what you're doing. And even when they write up their report, they'll say, well, I knew that already. But you need to look in the mirror. It's like, there's nothing new about what they're going to tell you, but you're going to be reminded that there's things going on in the partnership that aren't perfect. Other partnership lessons. You need community involvement. Well, no kidding. You need a strong social services. Now, the community thing, again, is because if you end up believing that violence and disorder are really regulated by the community and not as much by the police, then you will take that more seriously. Here we go. You need to minimize conflict and tension between partners. There is tension in partnerships, and there's reasons for it. It has to do with turf and who gets the credit and what other obligations they already have to their own agencies. We'll talk about that in a minute too. The strong leadership thing. A strong leader will, here's one of the reasons leadership is important. They'll find the commonality of purpose and mission among conflicting parties. They will bring you to consensus. They will establish clearer roles and responsibilities. A lot of members of partnerships, okay, I'll come to this, but I don't know what you want me to do. Resolve conflicts and create an atmosphere of mutual respect, equality, and cooperation. These are the things that leadership. Encourage bottom-up problem solving. I'm not going to impose this. My agency is going to tell you guys what we're going to do. You guys are going to come at this and figure it out and then feel more ownership because of it. Build the capacity of local organizations. Help each other. Bring the most knowledgeable and appropriate agency reps to the table. Don't send the person that you're trying to punish to the agency meeting, or that just because you have to send somebody, you know. Engage in strategic data-driven, oops, there's that word, sorry, planning. Encourage ownership in the partnership. Now this is, I've asked people before, like after I've seen really successful partnerships, I've asked some of the key members, like, how will you define, what does it mean when you say this is successful? What does it mean? And then one of the answers I get a lot is, it's mine, it's ours. We've taken ownership over this. This is not just me as part of my agency going to a meeting because Deanna Wilkinson wants me to show up or some other member of this group. I go there because this is something important. This is something I value. This is our partnership. And that's really important. Here's like back to this issue of you can posture and have an attitude or whatever when it comes to part. There's various levels. George Kelly and I came up with this. I'm sure that you've seen many things like this. So you can actively oppose or be defiant or whatever. You can go to the you won't go to the meetings at all. You'll probably say bad things about the partnership in public. The passive protest, objection, indifference. You'll go to the meetings. You won't say that much. You'll object to some of the things they're saying, but you got to go because your boss said you have to. Consent, cooperation, court. Now we're getting the green light to work together. You know, I might consent. I might cooperate even. You know, some of these things are. We'll go there. We'll send the right person. Will actually provide services as the partnership wants us to. But we're still working in silos. We're still not really coordinating that well. When you're coordinating, collaboration is a new reality. It's like you created a new way of doing business. You actually provide services as a group. That's hard to achieve, but there's all different levels of partnerships, is what I'm saying. Here's some of the assumptions. Okay, I'll wrap this up. That need to be true. You assume that they'll make a commitment to this, that it's a priority. We're assuming they trust each other enough to work together, share crime and operational information versus being territorial. It's also hard to share information, as you know, about troubled families and neighborhoods because of privacy issues. So that's a whole other issue as we go. It assumes that different agencies can achieve a shared vision and reach consensus on targeted problems and solutions. So they agree on the right approach to going about this. That they can coordinate and that they can resolve, that they have the skills to do this. Let me skip ahead. I work with law enforcement agencies a lot, so I can tell you that one of the they have a whole set of barriers that keep them from being fully involved. They have these hierarchies. They have their own. All agencies actually have this. The ego's turf credit. They have a secretive culture. Unfortunately, suspicious of outsiders, which makes it harder for them to work in groups. They have a single theory. Whenever they open their toolbox, there's only one thing in there, and it's a hammer. But not all police departments. A lot of police departments have wonderful community-oriented policing, and Columbus may be one of them. And so the problem with musical chairs is that they assign different people all the time to come to these things, so you don't know who's going to. The community, on the other hand, has all of its own barriers, right? Fear of crime, why they can't get the community involved. I want to, rather than go too far, I do want to just say one thing here with this police community problem. This is in all urban areas in America. It's been there for 50 years that I know of. But that they don't trust each other, especially in high crime, especially minority neighborhoods. The police have lots of issues with them. On the other hand, the police have legitimate concerns about the neighborhoods. It's very difficult. They work really hard to get people organized. It's difficult to get them involved for reasons we've talked about. They're concerned too that the people that come to the meetings don't represent the community necessarily, or all the community, but they represent certain factions. And they clearly have different styles that I've talked about. And are large groups functional or not? That's a whole other thing. You want democracy, you want a lot of people involved, but I've seen partnerships where, no, I just want the prosecutor, the law enforcement, one community person, and this other guy. We get a lot done. And they do. We get a lot done. It isn't necessarily what the community needs or wants, but they get a lot done. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I could go on and on and on. But I want to say the benefits of law enforcement. If they adopt this approach, they're going to be part of the solution, not the problem. They're oftentimes viewed as this kind of occupying force. They can coordinate with the win-win. I've seen them be defensive in Chicago even about that. Not now, but previous administration. Legitimacy and trust are restored. There's better intelligence. Police want to solve crime. They're not going to get any intel if they don't have a good relationship with the community. We used to solve 85% of homicides in this country. Now in Chicago, it's like 46%. And it's a little bit higher than that nationwide. Better intelligence, fewer citizen complaints and lawsuits. So there's all kinds of benefits for them personally. Okay, I'm going to stop. There are other models here, but I'll save that for later. We got to have questions and comments. Yeah. That's the fun part. Thank you.
So we did start a little bit late, so we can probably handle a few questions. And raise your hand.
Yeah.
What do you think is their relationship between property ownership and non-ownership property in terms of an investment, building an investment in the community? Like, for example, if a neighborhood has primarily rental.
Yes. Yeah, it's clear. She's saying, what is the role of ownership versus renting in a neighborhood, and what can you do about the problems that the neighborhood is primarily rental? Clearly, that's a problem. You know that ownership, you have more value in investment. You you will maintain the property better. I think, and so we also know that in high turnover neighborhoods, there's less social cohesion, less collective empathy, more disorder, et cetera, et cetera. All these things are confounded. So you have to do a lot. In rental units, one of the big things in law enforcement's done a great job of this in the last 20 years, is you do want to do your best to screen people when they come in. So that sometimes if you get too many troubled families in one group, that's a collective problem as well. So it's okay to have a few, but so that if I owned the building, I'd be very good at that. But on the other hand, the property owners, the renters have all these rights. They need decent, there's a lot of slum landlords.